these are the times when the true fans come out, right? It's easy to say you care about a team when they're in the playoffs and going to round 2 and round 3 and they're in the postseason every single spring. But when you get a season like this with question marks, with scary points, I understand fans are concerned and frustrated and upset right now, but that's fine. The fact that you are showing care and compassion to me, even if we don't agree on all this stuff, the fact that we all care, that's what I'm most concerned with and interested in. So I said I don't even know where to begin, but I suppose just the recent timeline of events has to be discussed because basically ever since the first game back from Christmas, ever since the 27th of December, like every single game has brought with it an intense reaction as it relates to the results. Like, for example, let's go back to December 27th at SAP Center. The Sharks had a 2-0 lead through 40 minutes on the last place team in the division and the conference, the struggling LA Kings, right? 2-0, you'd think that's enough. Put these guys away, get the 2 points. Instead, Martin Furk, I can say it like that, right? He scores twice in the third. And then Jeff Carter gets the OT winner. So the Sharks got the first 2 in the game. The Kings get the last 3. And in the standings, the Sharks get leapfrogged by Los Angeles. They fall to last place in the Western Conference. When was the last time we said last place for San Jose in the conference anywhere outside of maybe the first, couple days of the season? So that was the 27th. It was a quick turnaround, back-to-back games at the Tank. On the 28th of December, the Sharks look really good. It was the Philadelphia Flyers rolling into town, a team that had had recent success, a team that, as of then was lined up for the playoffs. The Sharks muscle their way through the Flyers, a 6-1 final score, and the only time Philly scored was on their power play. And so that ended a 7-game homestand, the homestand of the season where the coaching change happened and even some more struggles happened. But that ended the homestand. The Sharks would go on the road feeling pretty good about something. Maybe that was the turnaround win, the tipping point under their belt. But then that brings us to New Year's Eve, a shutout loss in Detroit, 2-0. A game that the Sharks never really even got into. And quite honestly, just from watching it on television, I wasn't there. Can't say that I saw and witnessed everything, but from, the observation of a high definition screen, they never collectively looked invested in that game. And that's upsetting because the Wings, by far this year, are the worst team in the NHL. Not just record, but also goal differential. I mean, like by far, they're the worst team in the league. And what did they do to San Jose? They handed the Sharks their first shutout loss of the season. Right? So you go from that momentum-building Philly win to a really, really deflating loss in the Motor City. All right, so the calendar year comes to an end. The Sharks fly out to Pittsburgh. And on the 2nd of January, just a couple days ago, San Jose scores first and last in Pittsburgh. And they win the game 3-2 in overtime. Brent Burns had the winner on the power play. It was a resilient game by San Jose. And yeah, I know the Penguins were without Crosby, and they had some of their own internal issues going on. But don't take anything away from the Sharks in that game. They played a diligent road game. So okay, we're looking at another turning point potentially for San Jose. And then what do? In their next game, they follow it up with another win. And it was that early start on Saturday morning in Columbus. By the way, it was a Blue Jackets team at that point who was on a 12-game point streak, third longest point streak in franchise history for Columbus. And in the game, San Jose goes up 3-1. They ultimately win 3-2 in regulation. Aaron Dell looked really sharp. And if you're noticing the trends, I've been saying the final scores, this is now 4 games in a row that the Sharks do that magic thing of allowing 2 or fewer, right? They almost always win. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that loss in Detroit, 2-0. That was the end the unofficial official end of undefeated at 2 or fewer. So the new streak started. Anyway, long story short, you get the bigger picture, right? San Jose's playing well. They're playing really good defense. And because of it, they're finding ways to win. So now all of a sudden, the Sharks have won 3 out of 4 games, and maybe this is tangible. Maybe this is the turning point everybody had hoped for. We get to this morning. By the way, I'm taping this on Sunday night. We get to this morning, a Sunday morning, another early start in Washington, D.C., right? 2 days in a row, the Sharks are done with their hockey games before people have even had their lunch out here in California. Body clocks were not an issue in Columbus. Everybody was hoping that'd be the same thing in Washington, D.C., and sure enough, that was the case. The Sharks came out pretty well. No score in the first period, going up against a Caps team that, has the best record in the league at 61 points. How about that for a road trip? You get to see the NHL's worst team, and then 3 games later, you get to see the NHL's best team. And later on with this road trip, they'll see the defending Stanley Cup champions, who might be the hottest team as of late. Anyway, second period today, Evander Kane gets the hat trick. And what if I told you this game featured a Kane Hattie and a Logan Couture empty netter, right? You would have said that formula, knowing that, right, the Sharks had to win. Might have even won by a couple. Well, they led by 2 with 1 minute left. And for only the 7th time in NHL history, a team, this time the Sharks, gave up a multiple goal lead with a minute left and lost the game. They lost it in overtime, by the way, allowing 3 straight to the Caps, but holy smokes. This one was confusing, deflating, frustrating. I mean, just when you thought all you had to do was close it out, right? You had a lead through 40, and you had an even bigger lead with, 1 minute left to play. It was literally the 60th minute of the hockey game where the Sharks allowed 2 goals in 35 seconds. They came undone, and that was it. You could classify it as their worst loss of the season. For an equal but different way, I would put the Caps loss and the loss to the Red Wings in the same category as worst defeats by San Jose of the season. You lost to the worst team in the league, and you lost to the best team in the league. You didn't even give yourself a chance against the worst team, and you had every chance against the best team. And I realize the Sharks got a point out of this today in Washington, D.C., but, at this point, and I'll get into this in a second, they cannot afford to fall short on getting both points almost every single night. So it just seems like this team, and Logan Couture said as much afterwards, it seems like they have endured every kind of loss lately, to good teams, to bad teams. Third periods, like today, have been a sore spot. And I really do feel like you can't explain the third period struggles. You can't point it necessarily always to one thing, but you can definitely make a bigger picture generalization and say that it's a sign of a team that's been through some storms. I think fragile might be too harsh of a word. Wouldn't say that. They have the ability to hang on in third periods, but they're weathered. They've been weathered in third periods, and it's come back to bite them again and again. But the bottom line is this, and the biggest point I want to make about this roller coaster lately is this. We're now at the spot with less than 40 games to go in this regular season. Less than 40 games left. And when you really think about it, the Sharks can only afford maybe 10 to 12 more regulation losses, right? Nights where they don't get any single points. Yeah, some games, some days like today, they can pick up a point and it's okay. It's definitely not the best thing, but they can really only afford, like I said, 10 to 12 out of the 40 games left if they want to make the playoffs. The entire rest of the way, that's it. And it's daunting to think about it like that, but that is the reality.